Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bab Fashion's YouTube channel. My name is Eunice. Thank you for clicking on this video. In this video, we'll be learning how to make this beautiful short gown, and I'll be letting us know the features of this gown. First is the upper bodice. It's a bustier. From the half length to above the knee is A shape, and then the down part is gathers. This gown also has these two beautiful balloon sleeves on both sides, and then it also has this side invisible pockets also on both sides. And this is what the back view looks like. The back neckline is a square neckline, and I have this beautiful rope hanging there at the neckline area where you can tie and create a bow. So in the course of this video, I'm going to be showing us how to achieve all of this. I hope this is something you are interested in learning. Kindly sit tight and make sure to click on the subscribe button to subscribe, and make sure you put on your notification bell as well so that you get notified once I upload a new video. And let's get started. Thank you. I'll be making use of these Ankara prints for this project, and these are the measurements we'll be needing to achieve this gown, and it will appear on our screen. Having seen the measurements we need, I'm going to be drafting directly on my lining, and I've folded my lining into two. To determine the amount of fabric I'll be folding into two, I'm going to use the biggest measurement of the upper bodice. We're drafting the upper bodice first, and the biggest measurement is the bust. The bust divided by 4 is 10 plus 4 inches. So I added 4 inches to that. That will give me both the measurement for my sewing allowance and that intake. And then here, the length I have here, the half length is 17.5 plus half inch for joining the down part, and then half inch on the shoulder. So that's a total of 18.5. So the length of my fabric is 18.5 while the width is 14 inches. 14 inches is fine. So I'm going ahead to draw the shoulder line. So on this shoulder line, I'm going to mark 3 inches. Next, I'm going to mark half of the shoulder measurement plus half inch for joining the sleeve, and that's 8.5. At this 8.5 mark, I'll come down by 1 inch. This is for the shoulder slant. If you have been watching my videos, you should be used to this by now. So right now we have the shoulder slant. Next, I'm going to enter the armhole measurement. So the armhole measurement I'm working with here is 8 inches. So you divide your bust by 6 plus 1.5, that will give you your armhole measurement. And then on the armhole measurement line, I'm going to reconfirm the 8.5 inches I have on the shoulder line. This is for me to have a straight line to connect to the shoulder like this. So I've squared out the armhole line now. So next I'm going to enter the bust point line, and the bust point is 11 inches. The underbust is 14 inches, and then the half length is 17.5, so plus half inch for joining the down part of this outfit, so that's 18.5. So this is me just going ahead to straighten my lines. So having done that, the next thing I'm going to do now is to enter the armhole. That's to draw the front armhole. So I'll get the midpoint of the front armhole, which is 4 inches. At this midpoint, I'll go in by 3/4 of an inch, and then I'll slant it to meet the shoulder tip like this. So to curve the armhole to meet the armhole line, I'm going to first enter quarter of the bust measurement on this line, and then I'll curve it out this way. So you don't just want to curve the armhole anyhow. You want to make sure that you enter the bust measurement on that armhole line so that you can curve your armhole to that point. So next I'm going to enter the nipple to nipple measurement. Half of the nipple to nipple is 4 plus half inch. So I'm entering 4.5 inches on the center front. That's placing my tape from the center front, which is the folded part. So I'm going to connect the 4.5 inches mark, and that's now the dart line, which is the nipple to nipple line. Okay, so here at the center here, now take note of this. After drawing my nipple to nipple line, so the part that is folded is now the center front, and while the other side is the side front. I went ahead to mark half inch on the bust line, and then also half inch on the waistline, and I connected both of them with a straight line. Next, I'm going to enter quarter of the bust measurement on the bust line. And now to enter my dart intake on the waistline, on the underbust line, I'm going to use the difference between the underbust and the bust measurement to determine the dart intake, which is 1.5. So I'm marking 1.5 on the bust line rather, and then on the waistline also. So let me explain this better. The difference between the bust measurement and the underbust measurement is 1.5. The bust divided by 4 is 10, while the underbust divided by 4 is 8.5. So the difference is 1.5, and that's what I use for my dart intake. So now I came down by half of an inch from the bust point line, and I'm connecting it to the underbust using my armhole curve. Just watch carefully, you understand what I'm doing. I've done several videos on how to make a princess armhole bustier. Just in case this is too fast for you, I will advise that you just scroll down. You will see a video on how to make a princess armhole bustier on my channel. So this is me going ahead to connect the armhole, that's the bustier, to the armhole area. So I'm connecting this way like this. So at the armhole, the midpoint of the armhole, I came down by half of an inch. That is to do my dart intake, and I connected it to the bust point, just like this. So the second line, I'm going to extend it like this. This is because by the time we're joining the center piece and the side piece, they will no longer be equal. So I'm going to extend the side piece so that it is enough to take care of, that's to be stitched to the center front. Okay, so this is what I use. The dart intake I have there, which is about 2 inches, I'm just going to use it to extend the side piece. So that's why I came out by 2 inches. So you can now see that this is now the new armhole for the side piece. By the time we join our pieces together, we can now trim the armhole properly. So next I'm going to enter the bust measurement, which I've done already, and then I'll go ahead and enter my sewing allowance of 2 inches at that point, and then I'll add half inch I'll be using to turn my lining. Then on the underbust line, I'll enter quarter of the underbust measurement, and then I'll replace the dart intake of 2 inches, and then enter the same 2.5. If you don't replace that dart intake, you're going to have a shortage. So please make sure you replace it. On the waistline, I'm going to repeat the same thing as well. I'll enter the quarter of the waist measurement, replace the dart, and enter my sewing allowance. So it's that simple. So right now you can see that bustier is almost ready. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to take away the difference between the front and back. So we know that our front length and our back length are not the same because we have the bust in front. So here the difference is 1.5. So from the side at the down part, that's from the waistline, I went up by 1.5. Can you see? And then I'm going to slant it to meet the first dart leg of the side piece. Just watch carefully. You will understand what I'm doing. Like I said, I've done several videos on how to make a princess armhole bustier. So I will also drop the link in the description box so that you can watch and understand better. So I'm using a neck depth of 3 inches, 3 by 3. I'm going to be altering this neckline. I'm going to make it a canoe neckline. It's going to be quite wider than this, but for now I'm just using 3 by 3. As we proceed, I'll show us how to alter it. So from the shoulder slant, I'm going to go up by half of an inch. This half inch I added is for joining the shoulders of both front and back together. So right now we're done with drafting the front pattern. So go ahead and cut out my pieces, starting with the neckline. So all the parts where I have my markings are the part where I'll be cutting out. So just watch closely, you will see how I cut it out. Okay, so you can see we now have our front patterns. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to place my fabric for the back. So to determine the back, the fabric I'll be using for the upper bodies at the back, I'm also going to use the biggest circumference, which is the bust. The bust divided by 4 is 10, plus 2 inches for my side seam allowance, that's 12, plus zip allowance of 1.5. So that's a total of 13 inches. So from this folded part, I'm marking my zip allowance of 1.5 inches. And then I'm just going to straighten the line. So all measurements will start from the zip allowance, not from the folded part. So where I have the line now is now the center back. So first thing I'm going to do is to enter half of the shoulder measurement plus half inch for joining the sleeve, which is 8.5. And then I'll come down by 1 inch and then connect it to this 3 inches to achieve the shoulder slant, just like I did for the front. So next I'm going to mark the armhole measurement. The armhole measurement is 8 inches, just like I also used for the front. So I marked my 8 inches. I'll reconfirm half of the shoulder measurement plus half inch. This is for me to have a straight line that will connect to the shoulder tip like this. I'll go ahead and square out my line just like this. And then I'll get the midpoint of the armhole and then go in by half of an inch. This is to curve out the back armhole. I also connect from that half inch I went in by, or connect it to the shoulder tip. So, and then I'll curve it to meet the armhole line, which is also referred to as the chest line. So to curve it to meet there, first I'm going to enter a quarter of the bust measurement so that I can curve the armhole to stop at the bust measurement. Having done that, the next thing now I'm going to do is to just straighten this chest line out. Okay, so you can see this is the chest line, which is also the armhole line. So this depends on what you want to call it. So next I'm going to enter the half length. So remember that in front we used the half length of 17.5, then we added half inch for joining the down part. And I said the difference between the front and back is 1.5. So meaning that if we subtract 1.5 from 18 inches that we have there in front, so that would leave us with 16.5. That's plus sewing allowance, meaning that the back half length here is 16.5, no, 16 inches rather. The back half length here is 16 inches, the front half length is 17.5. Okay, so now on the waistline I went ahead to enter quarter of the waist measurement plus 2 inches for my side seam allowance and then 1 inch for that, and I'm connecting it to the chest line. Very simple. So from the center back here I'm going to mark half of the nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4 inches. So you can see I'm marking half of the nipple to nipple measurement. In this case now, I'm not adding half inch like I did for the center front. For the center front is because we're going to cut it and join them together. But this is our dart. So I entered exactly half of the nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4 inches. And I've marked my dart. And then from the chest line, I came down by 1 inch to connect the waist dart. So you can see this is a basic bodice. This is a basic bodice. So If you don't know how to draft the basic bodies, I also have a video or videos on how to draft basic bodies. So now the next thing I'm doing is to eliminate zipper bulge. From the center back, that's from the folded part now on the zip allowance, I came in by 3/4 of an inch. This is to eliminate zipper bulge. Can you see? I came in by 3/4 of an inch and I slanted it all the way to the neckline. So you want to make sure that you eliminate the zipper bulge. If you don't remove your zipper bulge, your gown or your top will be folded at the back. So here from the center back line, I'm marking a neck width of 5 inches and then a neck depth of 7 inches. So at the neck depth area, I'm going to mark a neck width of 4 inches there. At the upper part is 5 inches. At the down part is 4 inches. So I didn't take the 5 inches just straight down. Can you see the shape I have? So I'm going to connect it this way. So that's that for the back neckline. So remember I said that the front I was going to alter it. Remember I used the neck width of 3 inches. So I'm going to be increasing it with 2 inches so that I can have 5 inches like I have for the back. So I'm widening the neckline or the neck width with 2 inches so that I can have a total of 5 inches. So I'm confirming the what I have left on the shoulder. So you can see that the back is really simple. So I'll go ahead and cut it out like this. So right now I'm done cutting the back piece. I'm going to bring in the front piece so that we can alter the neckline to achieve the wider neckline. So you can see I connected to my 2 inches. I didn't increase the neck depth. All I did was just to widen the neckline by extra 2 inches so that I have a neck width of 5 inches. And this is what the neckline looks like. You can see we have the canoe neckline effect. So now it's time for us to cut the down part, that's the skirt part of this gown. So I'll bring in my lining fabric. I'll fold into two. So you can see I've folded into two for the back and I've also folded into two for the front down part. And I've marked my zip allowance of 1.5. So you notice that the one under is extended by 1.5. So that's going to serve as the back piece. So here I have my starting line already, which is the waistline. All measurements will be starting from 17 inches. This is because we already have the upper bodice, which is the length is 17.5, right? So the actual length is 17.5. I'm placing my tape now from minus 17. This is because half inch will be for joining the down part now to the upper part. So I'm placing my tape from minus 70 so that I don't have to go and add half inch again. And then I went ahead to mark the hip line, which is 26 inches. And then the length of this A-shaped part, because this is the A-shaped part now I'm doing, the length of this A-shaped part is going to stop at 39 inches. That's 39.5 rather. That's before the gathers. So 39.5 plus half inch, that will be 40 inches. So I'm marking now on 40 inches. That's where the length of the skirt part will stop. Okay, so I haven't done that. The next thing I'm going to do is to enter quarter of the waist measurement on the waistline, which is 8.5 plus my 2 inches and then half inch for turning the lining. That's 2.5 inches. And then here also on the hip line, I'll enter quarter of the hip measurement, then plus 2 inches and half inch also for turning the lining, which is 2.5. Okay, then on the knee line, that's at the full length here. Whatever I have here on the hip line, I'm just going to add 2 inches to it to open it up to give me that A shape effect. So I'm just exhausting my entire fabric. So I added 2 inches to it. So here on the hip line, I have 13 inches, 13.5. So I added 2 inches, that's 15.5. I don't want the A to be too much, okay? So here I'll connect to the waistline. So for this waistline, I didn't add that. I added that to the upper bodice, but on the waistline here, I didn't add that. I don't want that at the down part of the skirt. So from the center front, I'll come down by 1 inch, and then I'm going to slant it to the measurement here. This is to eliminate waist sloper. Okay, you don't want to have bulge in front of that, frown lines in front of your skirt part. So that is why I removed that 1 inch from the waistline. And then on the zip allowance part, remember that the upper bodies I removed 3/4 of an inch from the zip allowance to eliminate zipper bulge. So I'm repeating the same thing on the waistline here, and then you can see I slanted it just a little above the hip line. So I'll be cutting out that zipper bulge. So can you see? That's the first thing I'm cutting out. This zipper bulge is very important to remove the zipper bulge so that your gown can sit really flat at the back. So you can see I'm going ahead to cut out the side. Take note that all the measurements started from the center front, not from the folded part of the back. That's the zip allowance part. Everything started from the center front. So now I can go ahead and separate the back from the front, and then I'll go ahead and cut out the waist sloper. So this waist sloper I said is to eliminate smile lines or frown lines from the hip area in front. So I'm going ahead now to notch the zip allowance at the back. So you don't want to make the mistake of not notching it. You can mistakenly interchange them. So now we have the skirt part. So the next thing I'll be doing is to create a curve in front. The front of the skirt is not straight, it's curved. That's the gathers will be attached to the curve, okay? So I'm going to separate the front from the back. And then from the hem at the center front, I will go up by 4.5 inches to create this curve. So from the center front here, I'm marking 4.5 inches, and then I'll curve it to the side. And then I'll go ahead and cut it out. After cutting out the 4.5 inches, this is what we have here at the hem of the front. So I'm going to place it over the back piece so that we can see what it looks like. You see now the front is high while the back is lower. So feel free to call it a high-low gown. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to measure what I have there at the base, that's at the hem. This will determine the amount of fabric we'll be using to create our gathers. So I'm going to measure the entire length there, or the entire width there rather. I'll measure the entire width and then multiply what I have by 2.5 to achieve the fabric I'll be using for the gathers. So I'm just going to follow the curve like this. Can you see how I'm measuring? So I'm measuring this one on fold. So whatever it is I get, I'm going to multiply it by 2 because it is on fold. Can you see? So here I have about 34 inches, 33 inches rather. And then this at this part also, the back, I'll measure it. So everything I have here gave me about, I think, 65 inches. So 65, I'm going to multiply 65 by 2.5. You can multiply by 3 if you really want the gathers to be full. But if you don't want it to be so full, you can just do by 2.5. But this depends on the amount of fabric you have. So I'm going to be multiplying by 2.5. And the length of the fabric I will be using, that's the length of the fabric for the gathers, is going to be 9 inches plus hemming allowance. That will be 11 inches in all. That's hemming allowance and joining allowance for the upper part. So that will be 11 inches in all. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out this fabric and show us. I already told us that what I got is 65 inches. So this 65, I'll multiply it by 2.5. That's for the width. And then the length is going to be 11 inches. And as you can see, I've cut the fabric. I won't be lining this part, so I cut directly on my Ankara fabric. So I'm going to set this aside so that we can go ahead and cut our balloon sleeve. So I'm going ahead to fold my fabric for the sleeve. Now folded my fabric into two. The first thing I'm going to do is to draw the starting line of the sleeve. And then from this starting line, I'll enter the full length of the sleeve, and I'm using 15 inches. And then plus 2 inches for hemming allowance. So that's a total of 17 inches. I'll use my straight ruler to straighten the lines of both the hemming allowance and the full length of the sleeve. Then from the starting point, I will come down by 4 inches, which is the cap's height. And then I'll straighten my line. On this cap's height line, I'm going to enter the round armhole measurement. Take note that my fabric is on fold. The armhole measurement is 8 inches. That's half of it, right? That's 8 inches. And then I'll enter 3 inches to that. I'll add 3 inches to that. This is because I want to have small pleats on the shoulder area. Okay, so I'm just going to curve the sleeve cap this way. Can you see? Just curving it from the starting point, and then I just curved it down. So here at the full length of the sleeve, I'm going to enter exactly what I have there at the cap's height line, which is 11 inches. This is so that I can have gathering at the down part. I'm going to insert elastic at the hem of the sleeve. So I'm going ahead to cut out the sleeve. It's very, very simple. It's as simple as you saw me doing it. So as you can see, I've cut out one of the sleeves. So I'm going to place it on my Ankara fabric and cut the second sleeve. Then I'll go ahead and cut all the main fabrics for the lining are already cut out, and which is what I have done already. I went ahead to iron haystay to the main fabric. I doubled the haystay. This is because I won't be padding this bustier. So I doubled the haystay, and I also ironed my interfacing, that's paper stay, to the lining. So I doubled the haystay, like I said, on the main fabric, and then I ironed my paper stay to the linings. And these are the back pieces, you can see. And I've also cut the main fabric for the down part. And I also went ahead to cut pockets. This gown is going to have side pockets. The length of the pocket is 14 inches and the width is 7 inches on fold. So that's when it is open, that's 14 inches. So which is 14 by 14. And I have two pieces, one for the left and the other for the right. And then also I went ahead to cut the strip I'm going to use to create the rope at the back. Okay, so this is the strip I'm going to use to create the rope at the back of the gown. And here the width, or the length rather, the length of the rope is 36 inches. 36 inches. I'm going to actually reduce it. I just used 36 inches, and then the width is 2 inches. So when you place it on fold, that will give us that will give us 1 inch when it is on fold. I need this rope to just be about 3/4 of an inch. So I have two pieces. One will be for the left side and the other will be for the right. So right now we have successfully cut all our pieces, so we're done with the cutting part. In my next video, I will be showing us how to stitch our pieces, which is going to be the sewing video. I hope you learned something from this video and you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please make sure to like this video, share this video with your friends, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Make sure you put on your notification bell so you get notified once I post a new video. And this is so that you can also see the sewing part. Please feel free to drop your questions, comments. Your likes are very important to me. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.